Greetings. Welcome back for another week where we are focusing on embracing love based on 1 Corinthians 13. I share a portion of that text with you now. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. This week, we are focusing on love, bearing all things, believing all things, hoping all things, enduring all things. Such a love is open to others. Jan Richardson, an artist and a writer, sums up love in this way. Loving is never just about opening our heart. It is about being willing to have our heart become larger as we make room for people and stories and experiences we never imagined holding. It is about being willing to have our heart become deeper as we move beyond the surface layers of our assumptions, prejudices, and habits in order to truly see and receive what and who is before us. It is about being willing to have our heart continually shattered and remade as we take in not only the brokenness of the world, but also the beauty of it, the astounding wonder that will not allow us to remain the same. When we enter new situations, when we meet new people, do we do so in a loving manner? Do we go in open to new possibility? Do we go into the situation expecting the best? When we look around us, are we setting aside our preconceived notions, our prejudices? Or do we go into such situations suspicious, uncertain, doubtful of, of the best coming out of that situation? Do we expect folks to disappoint us? Do we expect to be offended, let down? When we do such a thing, when we go into new situations with such a mindset where we expect to be offended or let down or others to not meet those expectations we might have, we have already set a wall between us. And because love is a relational thing, what we have done is we've entered those situations in an unloving way. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever had such a situation where you have gone in and expected to be offended, and ultimately, because you'd set a defensiveness about yourself, you'd already come up with your retorts, you were offended? No surprises. Have you gone into other situations where you were totally open to the people you meet, open to giving the benefit of a doubt to others, open to the idea that the interaction would be a successful one? Have you gone into situations where you are seeking to see the other with whom you are in relationship in those moments with the eyes of God? Those situations are the ones in which love bears its greatest fruit. When we are open, living fully into the potential of the relationships that God has presented us with in any day and in any way. When we go into situations expecting the worst, the odds are we'll find the worst. When we go into situations filled with love, filled with the idea that God has blessed that other person with whom we are relating with gifts for us that day, and has blessed us with gifts for them, well, then love will be present. Love is a two-way street. in a loving relationship, we are able to bear all things, to endure all things, to believe all things, to hope all things. You only have to look at that loving couple that's been married 60 years to see this having played out. You know, relationships are difficult. Conflicts arise, differences of opinion, differences of understandings. Certain behaviors that someone is accustomed to engaging in one place aren't acceptable in another. The road is bumpy here in life in our relationships. And yet, we're reminded today that God's love is able to be present in and through all of them and in through us. Such relationships, sustaining them over a long period of time in our own lives, includes an element of forgiveness at all times. You know, love is not resentful. It doesn't keep track of wrongs. Lest you think I'm talking about a pie in the sky kind of love, I want to emphasize that love is something that is mutual. It's a two-way street, remember. So while there's this element of forgiveness that runs through it, right? We bear all things. There's also that element where wrongs are to be stopped. You know, love doesn't rejoice in wrongdoing. Where that element of forgiveness is present and that willingness to stop doing things which are destructive to our relationships and to one another, there we will see love's fruit born. Love hopes all things. Living lives trusting in God's love for us, trusting that God is for us. This trust, this faith brings with it a hope that God loves us and that ultimately, no matter what is happening around us, no matter the struggles within our relationships, the challenges within the world around us, that when all is said and done, love wins. When we live a life that hopes all things, that places our trust in a God that loves and wants the best for us, we then can proclaim with the psalmist, no matter what the world might be throwing at us at the time, we can proclaim with the psalmist, the Lord is with me. I will not be afraid. We can be a hopeful people. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. May it be so. Take care and see you next week.